at 10 o'clock. So Brother Dooley, if you're going to give us an information.
A reading from the first book of Kings. The Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream at night, and God said, "Ask something of me, and I will give it to you." Solomon answered, "Lord my God, you have made me your king and your servant to succeed my father David. But I am a mere youth and know nothing at all. I serve you in the midst of your people, whom you have chosen, a people so vast that cannot be numbered or counted. Give your servant therefore an understanding heart to judge your people and to distinguish right from wrong. For you are able to govern this vast people of yours." The Lord was pleased that Solomon had requested, and God said to him, "Because you have asked this, not for a long life for yourself, nor for riches, nor for the life of your enemies, but for understanding, so that you may know what is right and wrong, I do as you request." Let us pray. Gracious God, we ask for your gift of wisdom to be given all gathered here, that through deliberation, through conversation, through decisions, your will may be revealed in our county. We ask for your blessing upon all who live in this county, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Father. All right, I'll go ahead and call our meeting to order at 10:01 a.m. Can I have a roll call, please?
Clifton.
Here.
Fitch. Here. Stansel. Here.
All present. We need to amend the agenda to include a public health resolution, is that correct?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to amend the agenda to include that resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. All in favor of amending the agenda indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And I'd ask for motion to approve the amended agenda minutes and claims.
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Public comment. Anyone from the public wish to comment this morning? Anyone on the phone wish to comment this morning? Hearing none, we'll move on to presentations. Tom, you're up first.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. This report period is from June 19th to July 14th. I'll run through it real briefly here. A couple CCOG meetings involved there, or I guess roof caving in was part of it. Most of the activity this past month for kind of supervisor review is the NOFA 8 from the state of Iowa, Office of Chief Information Officer. As you may recall, our invitation to qualify applications were pretty well received, pretty well scored, and so we wound up with the 2nd, 4th, and 22nd or 23rd rate application. So there's been a lot of folks calling about all those individual applications for the 3 various areas, and if you also recall that Madison County has served
Tom, when you say folks, do you mean vendors?
vendors, yes, sorry. We have been very pleased that most of the work or folks we've heard from are local telcos. I mean, that are way ahead of the curve as far as plowing fiber to their subscribers, and would use this as an opportunity to expand their territories. And they offer excellent customer services for the most part. And, you know, I think their prices are probably a little friendlier than particularly what we're receiving here in town from MediaCom. I've got a call to return from MediaCom yet, so they're talking.
Personnel answer the phone.
Well, I can't imagine they will, but or where indeed the person's office is when he does pick up. But we'll return that and see what they have to say, but it sounds like they're trying to bid too. So more of Madison County covered by their wonderful service.
Along those lines, did I see Casey Telco doing some work on 8th Avenue?
Very much could been.
Tom, who did we see that was putting stuff in by Maxford? We stopped him.
That was the bunch that goes down through Piru, shoot.
No.
No,
We took a pit, we stopped and had to go down the ditch. Who was that?
they put up a point-to-point tower up there. They bought the ICN network.
Oh, they put up a node, that's probably what they did.
Yeah, it's, shoot, I'm gonna have to get back in here in the pictures. Mental drain here this morning, I guess, but.
Is it for the ICN, or was it just a contractor that does work for the ICN?
No, it's not the ICN, but they purchased some of the assets of the ICN. I'm spinning back through the photos here. I'm not gonna find it here, but
I'm
it's.
sorry, I put you on the spot.
No, that's the, and I'll send you a note after, but it's they've been a low performing, the mayor of Piru's told us that they have taken grants several times and not performed on them.
Oh, Windstream.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, man. The charades
As
are
soon as
over,
you
so.
said that, I knew.
Yeah. So, and now they're and see the problem with what Supervisor Fitch and I stopped and looked at is then that they claim that territory is being served. Even though one could argue that something that deals with weather conditions and other problems really isn't served. So that was inside Madison County. Had we gone on the county line by that point? We were coming back from Seacog, so.
We were in Madison.
Yeah, we were in Madison, so they put up a big wooden pole, and there's a power source, and fiber must go up into that, and then they're broadcasting in all directions up there, so.
So basically, it's a wireless.
It is a wireless
Line of
point-to-point, yeah. Like BTWI or some of the others, but I'm not sure what the technology is that they would utilize.
Now, when I called the state about PRU regarding the issues, they're covered, but they're not covered. The gentleman I spoke to said there is a process to challenge what the carriers are claiming. But they needed documentation from residents to prove that.
Right, and that would, they're going to be a little bit acting on their own self-interest down there too, I think.
Was PRU one of the locations that we have, like the outside of PRU, one of the locations?
They would be on the way, there is a southern Madison County district that goes east of Winterset, and I'm not sure I would say how far east, but Omnitel's bid and received a bid in NOFA 7 or NOFA 6 where they are working in that area now. And in talking to their local executive, it didn't sound like it'd be, if they could work something out to get into town from the south there, I think rock on the east side would probably preclude them from getting a very good plow in from there.
They'd have to blast.
Mike could tell me something more about that, I'm sure. But
So what happens? You have, like, Windstream comes in and says, we'll cover all this, and they claim it, and maybe do nothing, but Omnitel said, so they can't go in, and they do perform, we know they do.
Well,
So is that what happens?
There's regulations to where you have the local area exchange carrier, or LEC, which is what Windstream is. And then Omnitel would be called what's a competitive local exchange carrier, or CLEC. They're allowed to come in, but the problem is the last mile, or basically from the curb to the house, or from the cross box or the central office to the house, that has to be run by the local area exchange carrier, in this case, Windstream. So that's where the thing is coming in. They're saying, well, we're covering it, and Omnitel says, I want to come in, and then Omnitel and Windstream have to negotiate a handoff. If Windstream doesn't want to negotiate.
So the people maybe aren't really covered?
From what I understand from Chris, the mayor, no, they're not covered at all.
they
And
have,
she's been very frustrated because
Yeah.
they have some places that are covered, like the library has internet, but I don't know who they're getting it
Piru
from.
doesn't have a library.
Or
Or
maybe it's
with the
community
firehouse, the community building
Yeah,
is
they're
kind of the
close.
same building there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would just add that I would be very much chagrined if MediaCom won anything in these things. Because we saw the MediaCom owner with his Italian soccer team and third or fourth wife, and I don't think our premium or our audio-visual money should be going to them, but that is in the realm of commentary and not actual fact.
All right.
With that, thank you, Mr.
Thank
That's
you for
probably
giving us
wrapping
the
it up
commentary.
today.
All right, Brady topped out.
Can't go into too much detail or good.
Yes.
Understood.
So we had, last month, we had 102 calls, down just a little bit. This, we had Hinterland was just recently. We only had one call over there. I know they did take a few transfers. The staffing ambulances did. Next Monday, we teach our first CPR class. If anybody's interested in CPR, needs CPR, just let us know. We will start hosting the class.
When is
Well, this one is, we've got scheduled for the 14th. I think it's the 14th.
August 14th?
It is, might be off on the date here. It is, yeah, August 14th.
Are these free?
They'll have to pay for the cards, because our people that are teaching them are on shift already. And they'll just have, the people just have to pay for the cards. Right now we do all the county people. We have to teach so many classes. Each person has to teach so many classes to stay certified a year anyway. I think it's 4.
Like our office is due in December, would you come to our office and do it, or would we come to you?
If you guys could come to us, we have everything at the ambulance garage. We have that training room. We have the stuff up to the computer for the TV.
So we'd probably have to do it in 2 sessions, simply because somebody would need to be at the office.
And that's fine. We have, like I said, I think we're gonna have 5 people certified. All 4 full-timers and myself will be certified so we'll be there during the day.
And the card just shows they're certified.
Yeah,
What if
yeah.
they opt not to even have the card?
Then they don't pay
It
anything.
costs them nothing.
So is this class, in the initial class, is it for just county employees, or is it open to the public?
The initial class we're doing is just for the people we've already got scheduled, because we can only have so many people in class. And they're supposed to come audit us. We have to be audited the first class
Okay.
to make sure we do everything right. So the first class is kind of full, but after that,
So
we'll try to get a schedule out so that people know, or like I said, if you got a group that needs it, just let us know.
So much better than the last training we had.
Well, hopefully this one will be good. We got 2 new vents from the state that we kind of talked about a little bit. We got those in service. It's going to help with the hospital doing BiPAP, high flow airvo. Those will be, we've had some training on those. Again, not too much. County fair went good. We had no calls for service at the county fair as far as the events, so that went okay. Football season's coming up. The Wild Boar Challenge is coming up, so we'll do all that stuff too. So. Any questions? All right.
All right, thanks, Brady. Amber, you're up next.
Good morning. I want to take the opportunity to thank Heather Supervisor Stansel for meeting with Teddy and I last week to discuss this. I'm here to talk about Hollow Bridge and a possible opportunity there might be for some fundraising there. I do want to premise this that I speak as a member of the Cover Bridge Preservation Association and not the Chamber. The Chamber cannot be involved in this in order to ensure that the funds go to Hollowell and the restoration that needs to happen. But Supervisor Stansel came to us and asked if we could put something together reasonably this year to raise some funds needed for the project. Teddy and I got together. We do think if this is how they wanted to move forward, we could put together a dinner on the bridge for about 110 people on Saturday, October 7th, which would be the Saturday before Cover Bridge Festival. If you did $125 per head, you could raise about $13,000. However, that would rely heavily on the goodness of this community and donating from, centerpieces, chairs, tables, even at cost, using the cattlemen's or pork producers for the meal. With that, expense-wise, it would be reasonable to say that we'd spend $5,000 on this event, so total net profit would be about $8,000.
And this is assuming if we paid everything out and there was no donations, right?
No,
We could get
Oh.
donations.
So in realistic, your costs are about 50% of what your revenue is. So about $7,500 is what we should be budgeting. $5,000 is really hoping and praying that people will rise to the occasion, which I'm sure they will. This community is fantastic for that. As I said in my email to Supervisor Stansel though, $15,000, really $8,000 is nothing compared to what has to happen for that bridge. It's over $1 million to restore that. So we ask that you consider what's next. If we raise this money, this community is a little burned out with fundraising because of all of the projects going on, which is fantastic to have, but what's our plan to raise the other $1 million that really has to be raised?
What grants are available?
I'm gonna turn over to Mike.
There's lots of grants, but they're about 50-50 grants.
50/50,
Yeah,
or
they
they come with
require a
things-
match, for sure.
50/50, or they come with things that are not practical in a rural environment.
Yeah, that's been the problem, and Mike's been great at leading the Coverage Preservation Association. There's been grant opportunities available that we've written for, and then we get there and they require a 60% match. That's $650,000 that we don't have. So yes, we have to start somewhere, but what's the plan to keep going?
Tom, what about CCOG?
That's who we've worked with, and they
Do
come
you
back
think
and
we
say,
could-
you need a 60%.
So the amount you have is based on just the meal. If we were to have a silent auction
Correct.
or do some marketing to
Yep.
reach out to other people, I know we discussed, we thought it would be cool if modern bridge companies came alongside us and donated money to maintain a historical bridge. So after that, our conversation, I reached out to almost all the bridge companies in Iowa. I was able to speak to 6 of them, 6 of the 8, and those 6 are considering either donating something for the silent auction or donating money or attending. I kind of left it very vague. And they said they would like more information before they can pull a trigger on that.
Sure.
I also reached out to the oldest bridge company in the country, spoke to the CEO's assistant, and they said they would seriously consider something. They were very surprised that the bridges from 1870 are still standing. So, and they were actually founded in 1874. So I try to make that kind of connection, saying you'd be preserving history
Yeah.
from what you came from. So, right at this point, and these are just the first few ones, I have a whole list of others I'm gonna start calling now nationally to see, because everybody knows there's Madison County.
It's a great idea.
So, that is something that I thought would be good. If anybody else has any other ideas, there's another list, I'm gonna call through nationally, and then I'm gonna work on international. Because we get a lot of international visitors, and
Yeah.
you never know what might pop.
Well, and we discussed also trying to find how we can maneuver to Clint Eastwood and Smash Street as well
We have tried that
through
through
the
our.
courthouse, but Teddy has a connection through the film office.
Okay, good.
So, it might, we'll see what happens, but
Yeah.
another, yes.
Never know.
Yeah.
Right.
Another
Can't take it with
opportunity
you.
would be, if we really wanted to go and do this dinner on the bridge, if tickets sold out at the $110, $125 price, you could do a second event and do a lunch on the bridge that isn't as much. So you could tier it as well and have 2 events in one day.
That way, people can participate who may not be able to afford a $125 ticket, that could swing maybe a $50 ticket.
Sure. Yeah.
So what, you know, the famous people may not wanna give money, but they may wanna show up or be part of the marketing literature or something like that, which I think would be amazing
Yeah.
if they'd be willing to do that.
You're talking 2 months out. That's coming
Yeah,
We can get it
right
done.
up.
I mean, that's my entire experience. Again, we just need the Cover Bridge Preservation Association fully on board.
Do we need to have a quick meeting then, Mike?
Well, who's gonna
Because that's
sponsor
your
this?
It'd have to be the Cover Bridge Preservation Association.
The chamber can't sponsor it?
The money's not going to the chamber.
How much, I know you emailed on this, you probably haven't gotten to it yet, but how much money do we have in the account with the preservation association?
There's investments in there around 225,000. But they're
Okay.
investments.
Well, we can,
But those investments have been gathered over, 23 years? And they've dipped into that twice heavily for the rebuilding of the Cedar Bridge.
okay, well, I mean, the purpose of the association is to maintain the bridges, so I mean, I believe that there's a reason why we should hang on to some, but we should be moving that money out.
But you gotta leverage it the best
You
you
do, you have to,
best
you have to
can.
match it or leverage it.
Well,
So-
that
so
should be a match.
Can
for
the
a
chamber
grant.
sponsor it, take command of it, and then turn around and donate that money to the Preservation Society?
It would require my board approval, but I'm not unwilling to go to them and ask them that.
And the reason why I say that is because there's just not enough manpower right now with the Preservation Society to get that done.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd have to, and I would hope that, kind of like the heroism ceremony we did last year, is really working on, with you, all three supervisors, to see if we can get this done in 18 months. It would require a lot of effort on our part to get it done.
I'll help if you just tell me, I'm good at getting people.
Now, we can have a quick meeting to say that, you know, we agree, because that's what the preservation's for. It's also the mechanism to use to get money directly to a bridge project. So that's something that the preservation board is going to have a discussion
Yeah.
and set up a fund, no different than when they did the Cedar Rebuild Fund. And then let's say it's the hollow well maintenance or bridge fund that gets set up for that. And then the proper way to do it is to have a project, and then the road department or the county bill or send the transaction to the preservation, and then they turn around and it's a reimbursement. And it's still a donation, it's
Yeah.
tax exempt.
Do we need to have a Covered Bridge Preservation Association meeting and probably have?
Yeah.
Yeah, this really should have probably been presented.
To them.
Well, we wanna make sure that the supervisors have buy-in and we're aware what's going on.
Well, it probably should have gone to them first, but we'll help, I'll help any way I can.
So, is there,
That meeting ought to be next week at the latest.
Yep.
right?
would we have to, would they be subcontracting you, the chamber then, or no?
No, I mean, again, I serve the courthouse restoration, I would just do it as part of the Cover
Oh, you
Bridge
got it.
Preservation Association.
Okay.
Yeah, so really, like, the chamber doesn't even have to take the
Monday the
money, all of the
14th.
donations can go
Send out a thing.
to the Preservation Association directly,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, well, I'll keep calling, asking for money,
Okay.
and,
Tell me what
Oh.
you need and I'll ask.
Yes.
I do have one comment. You know, we've been pretty, how do I say, restrictive on events on the bridges. There's been weddings, those type of things. We don't allow anything attached to them,
Yeah.
anything like that,
Yeah.
so I, you know.
We
what-
would admit,
Yeah,
we
and then
absolutely
the other
have to
thing
hear.
too is, for any kind of event like that, we need to be thinking about liability insurance, no waiver.
Yeah,
So, and that's where, that's better handled by another agency that can sponsor it and not the preservation.
John's in the back.
Yep. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can work with John.
we'll figure it out. I think this is an important thing for us to move forward, and I spoke to Amara too. This is, you know, even if we don't raise a lot of money this time, I think this would be a good thing to have annually, because the bridges will always need paint or maintenance or
And you can move
anything
around.
like that.
Yeah, we
Bridge to
can.
bridge.
Yeah.
And I will say, I mean, the finish line is very much far ahead of us, but 2 years from now is the anniversary of the movie, the 30th anniversary, so I don't know if we can get this done in 2 years, but that would be nice. That would be nice.
Now that we're talking about the bridges, I've been working with Diane Laird.
Yes.
And I reached out to 2 of the schools because Interstate and Winterset are close. Earlham is too far for these kids. So I've sent an email to both schools and I-35, and we want to work with them and Boy Scouts, youth groups to clean them up. And Diane said we need to do it twice a month, especially Hollywell. The rest are not. Hollywell is, as a thank you, Mike, for cleaning up lots of trash.
Why is Hollowell worse than the others?
It's
closer, it's
just
where
More,
people
more
go.
areas
It's
to
more
park
hidden.
at, or?
It's more remote a little bit, it's tucked back, so, I mean, could be Lover's Lane,
They dump.
a lot of stuff. It's
kayaking over there as well.
a
Is
lot
there any
of
way that you
trash.
think they can prevent that?
Gotta catch them, find their name.
Catch 'em.
Yeah.
So what we're working with is, I'll work with these kids to get a program, and I wrote myself a note, I'll start driving home that way, and I can pick up trash too. The people who have done this forever are really getting up in age, and it's just,
We need a new group of people to.
Yes.
Do you think maybe we should do something like they do with the freeways, like adopt a bridge?
that's what they're doing.
We already have an
We
adopt a
already-
highway plan we
Okay.
can do in that area.
We're gonna do adopt a
Actually,
bridge.
actually, we did that here when they wanted to do a pickup last spring with the high school. The Hollowell Bridge group, I believe, sponsored that, and we ran an adopt a highway through them. So they have, already kind of have that in place.
But they're just getting so aged out.
Yeah,
that
right,
they're,
right.
that's why we're going to
Right.
try to reach the youth groups and 4-H's and
Yep.
the schools, and then we'll do it that way.
All right, so we're gonna try to meet with the cover bridge
Yep.
reservation on the
Yep.
14th.
Yep.
The email will be coming, and then if, Amber, if you and Teddy participate in, I'm not sure who's your board president right now?
Ashton McKeever.
Okay. Might be nice if she could participate as well.
Sure.
Just, if you're asking,
Yep.
if you're gonna be asking your board for permission to be more involved with this, it might be good to have her there at that meeting.
You had provided us a while ago, and gave me another copy regarding stuff we can do now, potentially to help with the bridges. I don't know if you guys remember getting that, I vaguely remember getting that, was it last year, year before?
Yeah, Teddy provided it last year.
Okay. She gave me another copy, so I don't know if you remember, if this triggers your memory. Something I think the board should look at is potentially things we can do now to address certain things in the meantime. I don't know, would she be willing to resend that to us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The only thing, like the interior and exterior at night, I don't want that, because then it makes them easier to cut the chunks out of it and write their names. They're coming
Yeah.
back and cutting names out of the bridge.
Is that what they're doing?
Yes, St. Charles, they got a little chunk cut out of it.
Do we, well, flip side, devil's advocate here, you can use a phone to light things and cut it out.
I know.
But if there's big bright lights on the bridge, anybody driving by can see if there's people on the bridge.
You can't see them if they're in it.
Well, Hollowell, at a certain point on the road, you can see who's in it.
We're kinda getting off track a
Yeah.
little bit.
But anyway,
There's no
I would
power on a lot
say
of those bridges either.
Teddy has
so-
provided the same list to Government Bridge Preservation Association, and they are working through it as well.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay,
Emma.
thanks, Amber. Okay, moving on to resolutions, let's address public health first before I forget that one.
Yes.
So resolution for public health for a new hire, already have anything to add?
Oh, no.
Okay, all right. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is a resolution to approve Jay Evans as a part-time paramedic at $18 per hour. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is a resolution to approve employee handbook revisions effective July 1. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. I will reach out to Tess and ask that before that gets distributed, that we have a cover sheet on that outlining the changes.
Could you also, since you're talking here anyway, would you mind having her get back with this particular employee to clarify how many hours were used for FMLA and how many weren't? because there's no, this employee told me that they do not yet have clarity.
Well, there wasn't any clarity until today, so.
Not yet. Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Next resolution is approving the acceptance of the window roller bid at $16,871 from First Window Coverings, Inc. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, any further discussion?
Just a statement that, that this bid is a little higher than the other bid, and the reason why I'm okay with that, it's like, I don't know, $600 more, is because of the detail provided in this bid, where it was clear that they came out and measured, they've come back multiple times, whereas the other company just
The bids were one-line bid.
one line bid, that I'm uncomfortable with that, so.
All right. There's a motion and a second. If there's no additional discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, we're going to table that so we can do a little more due diligence. Next, we have secondary roads resolution approving federal aid agreement between secondary roads and Iowa DOT for a bridge project, which would be over North River on the Pitzer Road. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, any further discussion? Not all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have 3 resolutions approving temporary closures on roads for culvert replacements, which are now already done and reopened. But do I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to other business, board member reports. Anybody have anything they'd like to report on?
I do. Tom and I attended CCOG. There, as he did state, their roof caved in, and it's been a horrible mess. They are getting it fixed. I attended the North and Middle River watershed, and then if you noticed in your emails, they requested that our board
In the last email I saw, they had someone else that they talked to.
and I am going to encourage you to let someone else that works
I
in the
don't
water.
think, yeah, I don't think it's our.
I do not, and it was an interesting meeting. They nominated themselves. Everything was pretty much done. There was no conversation to any of us, and it was a rather interesting meeting.
So, what is your take on that?
I'm not sure, because they're asking for $125,000 from the EPA, but when you say, what are you planning to do with it, as you know, in one of their other watersheds, they're sitting on a significant amount of money
Yes, they are.
and not accomplishing anything, and they wanna hire somebody. They know, because they've been doing this for 50 years, what's wrong and what they need to do. So hiring a consultant, just hire somebody, fill the position and get the work done. I have a little,
So are you a voting member on there?
well, we had no voice at all. We, at the meeting, it was really unclear. It wasn't, I wasn't real impressed at how unorganized, it was very unorganized, I felt.
It's really the first meeting, though, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah,
Well,
so give them
no,
some grace because of
I will
that.
give them grace on that, and it's okay. I'm really opposed to using Michelle,
Well,
because,
I am
I-
too. We
I
kind
am
of,
too.
we kind of went kicking
We're
and
keeping you
screaming.
busy.
I shouldn't say kicking and screaming. It's not that we're not supportive of it, but we
No.
didn't want to, we're
So-
not
and
gonna support
working
anything
there,
financially.
I
and
know
well, you
what
are.
they're asking
Yeah,
will not be.
you will work like a dog.
You will work, yes.
So it sounded like in the last email I saw, someone had someone who might be interested.
And it should be from a water, it should be somebody that already works in a watershed in one of their offices, that's what they do all day.
Yes.
They have access to everything and to everybody, they know who to call. Why would she know any
No,
of that?
that's
But
not.
it sounds like that's kind of heading that direction, so let's let it
So
take
to
its
protect
course.
you, I'm just,
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
I'm not
I'm not
in
in
favor of that
favor of that.
yeah, it's too much. So that was pretty interesting. Household Toxic Waste Day was, wow. Mike was there, and we had Josh Miller and Trevor Fitch, and probably without the boys, we'd have been sunk, because we took so much used oil. When we fill those big tubs, we have to shove those back into that semi, and by the end, us older people were really tuckered. We took in horrible, and thank you to the people who brought it. We brought it, we took in a lot of DDT, a lot of Klondike, which is a, well, you would know, horrible, toxic, it's a pellet. I wrote it in my musing. It kills everything and lives in the soil for 20 years. It kills everything. If it gets in water, it kills everything and takes forever to dissolve. We've outlawed them all. And we took a lot of that. We did find out, we do have a shed out at the landfill that the key got blown away, and none of us knew this on the board, but that shed is for toxic household stuff. Well, we will get a new key, and we will start
So
having
then
that.
the residents could take stuff there and then the
Yes, and
place
then
out
the
of Montreal
DNR
could come
will
down
get,
periodically to pick it up?
yes,
Oh, that's
we do
great.
not want that stuff in the landfill. So we got that done. We are going back, they are appealing our court. We won the court over the land dispute, and they are appealing.
Well, you knew that would happen.
Yeah,
All right.
so that's it.
Heather, you have any report on it?
Not a lot, that I haven't already spoke to. We have our comprehensive planning meeting on 8/21. So I'm looking forward to that. And they are 64% done with the comprehensive plan. So we probably should see more stuff to you guys on draft finished product before we go out to the public for review. I mentioned earlier about all the calls to these companies requesting money. It's an interesting experience, just cold calling. I haven't done that in a long time. But I was really surprised at some of the positive responses, actually. You know, they were, oh, Bridges, Madison County. They were just, they didn't commit, but it was nice to hear.
They didn't say get lost.
They didn't say get lost, yes.
Think how they could spin that, Heather. They could show that they've been in
Modern
business
bridge.
and an old,
And
they could really do that.
we
Cool.
joked about it, because I said, it was shocking to me when I got the price list, the estimate list for repair on all of our bridges. I said, it costs almost as much to maintain a existing covered bridge as it does to build a brand new bridge. And we both laughed about that. And I said, but these are things that they don't build anymore. So I'm hoping to get some positive responses. Once you guys start working on some kind of literature that I can send them, that's basically what they're waiting on, because they have to go to their boards to ask for whatever it is, if they decide to move forward.
What kind of literature do you want, Heather? You want something?
Some kind of flyer or something about, she showed me, she's still here. She showed me an example, like a farm-to-table thing that they've done in the past. The Bricker Price Block does a farm-to-table every fall. They have a really nice picture. We can make it look beautiful, and I know there's limitations on what we can do on the actual bridge, but if it's 100 people, and let's just be over conservative, say 300 pounds a person, the bridge can handle it, right?
We would hope so.
I mean,
Maybe that's part of the thrill of buying a ticket.
We'll double
See
check on
who
that.
gets the prick first.
We'll double check on that. If not, we'll move it under a tent and light up the bridge beautifully. But anyway, so that's kind of what they're looking for, is some kind of material of the event that they can show their board and get buy-in.
We have to work directly with you on what we can and cannot.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
yeah,
that's
so
his board.
that's kind of like we just started percolating, brainstorming, and actually the trigger was that email we got from that resident regarding the garbage. And then I'm like, we need to do something more, because I remember conversations with you about what it's gonna take to fix Hallowell, what it's gonna take to fix Roseman. And this is something we need to have done sooner rather than later, because those bridges once those roofs go, the rest of the bridge will go. So, but anyway, so that's kind of mostly what I did this past week, was talk to people and ask for money. And then hopefully I'll have an update for you guys soon regarding the comprehensive.
Very good. I had a mental health board meeting last week, our first meeting with our new scheduled board as directed by the state. The state's still trying to figure out what they're gonna do there. I don't know that they're talking about doing away with the regions, but they may draw different lines. They may take it all on themselves. Who knows? I mean, this is a system that the state just created it in 2014, and here less than 10 years later, they're looking to possibly chuck the whole thing.
It's so busy here in our office with this. What would happen if they, I mean, people go there all the time. Are they wanting to make them go like to Des Moines, or do you know?
No, it's just the structure of it and how it's organized. You know, it used to be every individual county had one, and then they formed the regions, but it was still funded by property tax dollars. Well, now it's being funded with state income tax dollars, so the state's saying, well, you counties really shouldn't be so involved with this. Well, it's a residents, and who knows where it stops. I mean, it's possible that 6 months from now, it could look completely different than it does now. It looks a lot different now than it did a month ago. So anyway, stay tuned on that one. I'll attend the Badger Creek tour.
Thank you.
No, I enjoy it, I
Thank you.
really do. Shelley and I met with the state auditor yesterday for the exit interview for the FY23 audit. I think there's a couple things that Shelley had responded back, and she's had to send me, and Amanda, there's some things in your office that they need to hear back before they can wrap up the 23 audit. So we can get that done, we can put that behind, and then jump right into fiscal 24. All right, board clerk updates. Michelle, what do you have? I know you've been working on some boards and commission type stuff.
Absolutely. Thanks for doing all that.
I just had a couple questions on that. I'm gonna maybe clarify the compensation commission a little bit, because while it's listed 28 people, it's 28 people that the judge can call if needed. So it's not like those 28 people would meet, that would be the pool of people for the judge to
He
contact.
picks one from each group,
I
doesn't
believe,
he?
I think he
Mike,
picks.
is it one from each group?
Yes,
or how-
yeah, one from each group.
So there's 4 groups of 7,
Yeah.
and one from each one would be the one.
So clarification under the compensation commission.
And then as far as the compensation board, are there any changes in the state code that are gonna affect that this year or not?
I don't think that passed.
Okay.
We can double check though.
So, we had Jerry Parkin last year to fill out 1 year of, whose term did you?
Derek Bowles.
Okay. And then who else is ours?
Armstrong was the
Tim
other.
Armstrong, and he wasn't,
He showed up.
did he show up? Okay.
He didn't the 1 year that he had COVID, he was sick,
Okay.
but he was on the full night.
But Jerry just did the 1 year. Unless anyone has any objections, I can reach out to him. see
No,
if he
go
wants to do
ahead,
a full
he
term.
was good.
And who's that?
Jerry
Jerry
Parkins.
Okay.
And the other gentleman, he showed up via phone or?
No, he showed up last time.
I thought he called by phone
Oh,
because he
maybe
was
he
down in the
was
south
last
for the
time.
winter or something.
Do you want me to reach and get someone else?
No, if his term's not up, I don't think there's any reason to ask him.
Are they annual terms though?
No.
No.
Compensation commission is annual, but most of those people don't even really know that they're on it.
Oh, okay.
Because
We've never
they hardly
used
ever,
it since
they hardly
ours.
ever convene. Michelle, did you have anything else for board clerk updates? I kind of hijacked your report.
Oh, no, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, it's the board clerk update and then the open records. I think I'm working with Erin on that.
Erin asked to meet with me tomorrow too, so I don't know if that's something she wanted to talk about or not. So anyway, Erin and I are
Great.
meeting tomorrow. So.
Great.
Okay. Old business, update from the treasurer's office regarding the drive-through and the postage meter. Amanda?
Yeah. So, the postage machine was removed from this building on July 11th. Having that in this building has been a huge convenience and very helpful to our office and the treasurer's office. It's just easier for us to, we mail out a lot more than most departments. If you look back and compare the postage amounts that have paid in claims for the past few months, there's a significant amount difference. And so I guess the machine was relocated to the courthouse. I did try to use it here a few weeks ago. I had to help one of my staff members carry over a box and another bin, and we went over there. She spent about 45 minutes running it through the meter and putting tapes on everything, and then carried it back over to the post office. To get into the office, it was locked, so I had to try to go find somebody in maintenance, and I couldn't find anybody, so I had to go into the auditor's office, and they have a key, I guess, so they let me in. And my
To our
employee-
office.
Yeah, they did. Yep,
Okay.
to the front, yep, to the front and to the office. Just after doing that one time, that's just not realistic for our office. I can't have one of my staff members every day walk over there, that could be over there for a half an hour or so, with the amount of mail that we can produce in one day. That is taking them away from them on the phones, the counter, and that's something that you guys hear often that we're not doing, and we're trying to get better at that with the customer service portion of that. So taking them away from the office to do something like that would hinder that as well.
So Amanda, I was told that the postage machine was out of ink, out of water, and out of money in your office often, so that's why it was moved. Is that an incorrect, were we informed incorrectly?
I believe so, because every time that we see that it's low on water, I know we've let them know. I know Angie reached out to a few of them earlier in the year regarding it. If the postage is low, I know in the past I've let them know. Not to mention, they have staff coming over every day using the machine as well. So, everyone knows.
Fill it with water, anybody who uses it.
I don't think it's prudent use of our taxpayer dollars to have two postage machines.
I don't either.
Well, I signed a contract already and I have one.
That's what I understand.
So-
We don't have any control of your budget, but we do have control of your budget next year. So
Yes.
you need to be fiscally responsible with
I
it.
am being fiscally responsible.
So here, okay, let me ask a clarifying question. And this is where I'm still confused. We got an email saying that it was gonna be moved, okay?
I did not get an email saying it was gonna be moved.
That it was moved, I'm sorry, that it was already moved. But I don't recall having a conversation ever, not that it's any of our business, because it's another offices, but I don't recall that ever being told to anybody. I know that was the first email I heard, that this was being moved from the annex to the courthouse.
Yeah, there was
when it
no
was moved.
There was no discussion with the department heads as to the postage machine,
Right, so.
as to what would happen with it. We all showed up that day and it was gone.
So it sounds, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like there was no coordination on this move. It was just done and no one was informed.
Correct.
So I understand if there was frustration, if another department went over there and there's low on postage or low on water or whatever, I can understand frustration. But I guess my question is, was there communication about that? It just seems so, just to kind of.
No, we were threatened that it was gonna be moved. There was no discussion between any of the departments as to what was gonna happen with it. And, if they didn't wanna service it anymore, they could have asked if anybody in this building would have. I would have taken it on. The recorder's office might have, or the assessor. You don't know. It just got done.
All right, I think it's water under the bridge. Whoever moved it, you bought a new one, and I'm with Phil, it's off your budget.
That's fine. I am gonna discuss it with other departments and department heads and let them know that, they can use the one in ours too. So, I think our contract is up here for the other one here within the year.
And you have a newer model, more
I do.
modern.
The one that's in the courthouse is obsolete, and so they're gonna have to get a newer one anyways.
All right, let's talk about the drive-through. Where's that at?
That is getting closer to being done. My goal is to have it open here in September for taxes. It's
Is it mechanically okay?
Oh, yeah,
It's got
somebody
some
drove
age
through
on
it the other day,
Okay.
and I talked to him through it, and
But
it's
how's the
just,
slide work?
Tom hasn't opened it yet.
I'm
Because-
curious to see how that works.
He has opened it, he just hasn't still locked until we're ready to use it.
What kind of signage will you need? I mean, do you have signage so they know it's only for taxes, correct?
No, so it's gonna be like a fast pass kind of thing, so it's only checks or cash. So if you wanna do your renewals,
But you can't get your driver's license through it.
no, so this is
how
gonna
are
be,
they gonna know
yeah,
that?
there's gonna be a sign
Okay,
letting them know.
But vehicle registrations and taxes?
yeah.
Yes, but as long as it's cash or check, no card and no title
So
transfers.
is there gonna, have they already done the electrical work to make the speaker work?
Yes, yep, that all works, so I'm just working on getting the computers up and going and kind of just,
That'll be nice, that's ready in September.
yep, that is the
That's a
goal.
good, that was a good thing, good.
I've been an advocate for that ever since we bought this building. That's good. All right, anything else?
No, that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Under new business, I think we've covered that, have we not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we've already discussed it, so.
All right, courthouse project, we're meeting next week for that. I'm not gonna complain about rain, but it's kind of been a little bit of a setback this week, but.
So, should we, I think we should kind of publicly say that the project's gonna be delayed again for the third time, and it's gonna be end of October. So do we wanna, I'm getting questions, and I wanna have an answer of what we're telling the public of why it's being delayed again. So, do we just say it's because of the doors, they ordered
Well,
the wrong
door-
mechanicals, or what?
The doors are the one item, but everything else, the epoxy needs to be put on the 3 entryways before they can put on the railing, before they can put in the lighting for that. So that's gonna happen this week. The cheek walls are now done, so they can work on sidewalks, which they've started to work on that. They've got backfill in there, so now we have grass sloping away. So the sidewalks need to get done before the sock can go in. So all that stuff should be on track to be done before Bridge Festival. And then the question is, when do the doors gonna take place? And even at that point, you're only talking about 2 doors that haven't been in use for 2 years. Everything else will be done and cleaned up. So for all intents and purposes, with the exception of those 2 doors, should all be wrapped up by Bridge Festival.
So they won't need to get any equipment in or anything like that?
Nothing significant.
There are windows that have some stain or glue or paint that I couldn't scrape off, so I've marked them. And they are aware, there's some windows that I'd like to be with Rick, I don't want them to pass, I don't think they're painted good
Well,
enough. Just little stuff that they can touch up in a
But
day.
that's,
Well-
a window here and there
Yeah,
is
it's-
one thing. Once you
yeah.
get everything else back together,
So my point is that, you know, we originally told the public that was gonna be the end of August. Now, it's gonna be, I'm hoping, before Bridge Festival, with the exception of those doors. But he did say with the doors no later than the end of October, providing that equipment has, that they have to reorder, because the original equipment was wrong, because no one bothered to weigh the doors to know what the correct equipment was to buy. So, I think we should, I know you guys are getting questions, I know I get questions all the time.
I don't get questions,
Yeah.
I just say I don't know when it's gonna be done, because I can't control weather, I can't control, none of us can't get pieces. Somebody didn't weigh a door, well, it's water,
one
it's just,
one sub doesn't get their job done. It
yeah.
lays 2 or 3
Well,
others.
I understand that, but it's important that we keep the public updated on what's going on, and I don't know. It's not, I don't know about you guys, but that's not an acceptable answer if I say I don't know.
You don't know, you don't know.
We have a pretty good idea.
You have an
I've been
idea,
telling
but you
them I
don't know.
for the last year, and that an 18-month project is now 2.5 years.
If it
and I'm
rains
dealing
5
with-
inches every week, you don't know.
But this is just this week, Diane, this project has been delayed a year now.
Well,
The entire year.
continually beating it up just gets people all
I'm not
stirred up.
beating-
We
I'm not
can't
beating it up.
control a
People-
lot of this.
People approach me, and that's why
We
I
have a
want to be able to
construction
give
meeting
an
next
answer.
Yeah, we have a
Tuesday,
meeting
we'll discuss
Tuesday.
it then. Comp plan, you're meeting 20, you mentioned that, you're having a meeting.
Yes, on the 21st. And then ordinance review, I know Ryan had mentioned something last week that he was looking at something, but I haven't heard anything since then.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
She can do it.
Motion by Heather, second by Diane. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you, everybody.
So Phil,